Yeah, dude.
Recording in progress.
Nice.
Wow.
We're we're live.
I guess it's better than burglary in progress, you know?
Well, this is really cool of you to do it again, seeing as last time your technical difficulties kept us from actually proceeding any further.
What's
But
that?
hey, everybody makes mistakes,
How was
and
that? Yeah, I should have held a gun to your head and made you press record.
I'll tell you what, it might. I'm glad it. At the very least, it gave us another opportunity.
Yeah, I was actually looking forward to it. Our talk last week, I really enjoyed it, catching up with you and just talking. And so I wasn't terribly distraught when you said that, we needed to do it again. So, yeah, here we are.
Good. I appreciate that. Yeah, and me too, because I mean, really, not obviously to go into what we were talking about last week, it's important to connect. And there's only so much connecting you can do in a period of time and in a certain single conversation. And I think this goes right along with, what we were saying, in that it needs to be a consistent theme in our lives about, establishing that connection with other people. And like we talked about more specifically as men connecting with other men. And, so just to kind of give you maybe a little rundown of what I do want to cover the topics, so we don't get too carried away. Obviously, I want to dig into masculinity with you, again, in that topic. And I know that's a broad topic that could take us a lot of places.
Yeah.
And kind of within that, what it means to be dad for you specifically. Okay. I'd like to get to that. And then probably less serious. I do want to know, we didn't really talk last time about what are your daily rituals in terms of what are you doing for health and fitness? And, I wanted to cover that. I kind of have a good idea of maybe what you're doing, but I really want to get better details on that. And then we got to rehash and always go over some old time stories of Lindenwood wrestling.
Yeah. No, that sounds good.
So that's kind of my layout and what I maybe wanted to get into with you. But first, tell me again and remind everybody what you're doing as owner of Bright Bear Windows, window cleaning, and dominating that market here as of late.
Yeah. So with Bright Bear Window Works, and I wanted to call it Bright Bear Window Cleaning, but when I opened it, there was a company up in Idaho that they were called Bright Bear Window Cleaning. And right before the COVID shutdown, I was looking up and, doing some research, and I found them. So I was like, okay, I'll just do Bright Bear Window Works. Well, I can't find anything about them now. I don't know that they made it through the pandemic. It looks like their website is down. I mean,
oh no.
So, I mean, I guess there's only room for one bear in this market, but I hope they're doing well. Now, so yeah, we do residential and commercial window
You've been
cleaning.
in business now for how long?
It's going on 2 years. On 2 years. Yeah, there was a lot of learning curves. Now I ran a large window cleaning company for 4 years, and then worked at that same window cleaning company's corporate office. So I've been in the industry for almost 8 years now, but running my own thing for 2 has been a different animal. Yeah, we specialize in commercial and residential window cleaning, power washing, gutter cleaning, and that's pretty much it.
Tell me which one now you're owner. Are you nitty gritty? Are you doing the work? Are you owner operator, or are you owner? I run a bunch of employees, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because I understand that management of a business takes a lot of skills.
So when I first started, for probably the first year, I did everything by myself. Talking to my friends, talking to businesses, just walking in and trying to find the owner or manager, basically trying to get in front of the decision maker. And then if they said, yeah, give us a bid. Yeah, we like your bid. I'll clean it right now. We'll get you on a schedule. Hey, I want you to clean my house. Okay, I'll go out and look at it. Sometimes I'm cleaning it on the spot.
That's
just
awesome. Take action.
just doing everything I could
Beautiful.
to earn somebody's business. I've got 2 guys that are working for me now, and I like things to be a certain way. Our level, our standard of quality is high. So I'm going out there still with these guys, making sure that, I'm trying to hold them accountable. And we have those talks every now and then where it's like, hey, we want to be the best. You guys have to let me critique stuff and hold you accountable. And if there's something I can do to make your job better, if there's better equipment we can get, if there's something else I can do that I'm not doing, tell me.
See, that's good
boss,
because
I need to know what you guys need.
That communication should work both ways. Like you're aspiring it too, because otherwise, it creates bitter resentment. It becomes only a one-way, you commanding them as the boss to the employee, when it needs to definitely be a two-way street, because you can make their job so much easier if the communication was open. And probably more important than making the job easier is paying better and closer attention to the detail to provide the service necessary to set yourself
Absolutely.
apart.
Absolutely. I think that's really important, but to answer your original question, now I'm still getting out there cleaning, and mostly what I'm trying to focus on is selling, getting out, talking to business owners, walking into restaurants, businesses, getting in front of people, getting estimates out there. Because I think at the end of the day, it is a numbers game, and if I want to have a lot of repeat business in the St. Charles County, the West County area, I've got to get out there and just like pound the pavement,
Right, knocking on doors.
You have to put in the time, getting told no. And
how do you do that? Psychologically, I know that's hard for a lot of people to, it's hard for me. Nobody likes rejection, and so tell me, have you done any classes, or you got a mentor, or have you just gone at this by yourself?
I've got a couple.
To put yourself.
I've got a couple window cleaning mentors. A guy that is a good friend of mine. His name's Kyle. He owns a business called Clean Habits. He's up in Utah. I've got a guy in Illinois I talk to. I've got another guy in Washington I talk to, and these are just guys that I'll bounce ideas off of. And getting told no it's not fun, but I think in my head, I know that's part of the process. Every store I walk into can't be a yes. So the more no's I get, I know it's just a matter of time before I get a couple yeses back to back, or a really good job. I try not to skip any doors. I try to go in every door, because you never know. Oh, that building has 5 windows. They don't want windows cleaned, but maybe they're really waiting for someone to come in and sell them on window cleaning. Who knows? You never know what position someone's in. So
I think you hit it earlier when you said it is a numbers game. And when you can start to keep track of, hey, every 20 doors I knock on, I at least get one response. And out of that one response, out of 5 of those, I get a sale. So then you say, hey, it's 100 doors for one sale. And it kind of, of course, that ratio can change in the next day. It can go higher, or it could go lower, but by having the numbers, it allows us to make sense of our effort.
You can track it. You can't guarantee it, but you can kind of assume, hey, if I walk in 100 doors this week, I should get a couple yeses. I should get a couple goes.
That tracking of progress is so crucial for fitness, for business.
Definitely.
Personal finance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely for fitness as well. When my nutrition is off the wall and just crazy, it's because I'm not tracking it and I'm just eating what I feel like eating. Of course, I want Raising Cane's and Freddy's spicy chicken sandwich. Like, of course I want that. But when I'm actually logging my nutrition, that's when I notice that it's like, okay, well, I don't want to log McDonald's. I want to log chicken breast and steak and sweet potatoes, So
Yeah, it becomes a little bit more real.
uh-huh.
When you write it down, or
Absolutely.
even if you just record it. I've told that to people that have a problem writing things down. It's like, then just make an audio record of what you're doing. I mean, it's still an audio journal. And I think that making it real by speaking it out loud. I had 4 chicken sandwiches and a sack of fries and a Coke. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you trying to do with your health and fitness? I know we're human. We all go off the rails, but on good weeks, when you've got it going on, what are you doing in terms of food? Like, what are you trying to do?
A really good week for me, is I still like to eat in a window. Like I really enjoy time restricted eating is what I like to call it. So,
Yeah.
If I can have my coffee and a bunch of water until 1 or 2, and I'm working all morning, I'm selling, and I'm just like in the zone, that's really good for me. I've been getting meals at Fit Flavors. I've been, meal prepping stuff, rice, chicken, steak, sweet potato, nothing crazy. Eggs every now and then, but I try to prioritize protein, and I try to hit 200 grams of protein a day.
Why do you do that, you think? Like,
what'd you say?
why are you focusing on the protein specifically? Like, to a
Well,
degree of knowing that you want 200 grams, that makes it a plus day for you.
I weigh about 200 pounds, 205, 206 this morning. A wrestler, I check every morning. I don't even know why. I just do. I like to see the number. And not that I live my life by that, but I just like to see where I'm at. And it really doesn't change that much from day to day. So it's probably a waste of time, but, I know that if I'm getting good calories in me and I'm filling up on good proteins, good carbs, then I'm going to be okay. My body's going to do the rest.
Well, I guess I should ask too, because it kind of depends, on what you're doing.
Yeah.
When people hear that you're eating 200 grams of protein, if somebody works at a desk all day and then, maybe does a brisk walk at night, does a few sit-ups and, lives a moderately healthy life, but just maybe not as extreme as what I figure yours is in terms of activity, And so, like, what are you doing activity wise that you think requires that sort of a?
So I'm still going to CrossFit O'Fallon, and mainly,
Nice.
Back in the day, I was getting in for 2 hours a day and just hitting it hard with a couple of people. I mean, a couple hard Olympic lifts. We're snatching, we're back squatting, we're hitting 2 or 3 Metcons. And
you were on that green light fitness plan with Matt Green.
Exactly. Like, I see Matt Green's videos and I'm like, hey, yeah, I used to do that, but it's just not a good balance for me anymore. If I can get in and hit a strength, hit a Metcon, get a good sweat, I'm happy with that. Spike my heart rate. I'm happy with if I can do that 5 times a week, that's a good balance for me. And then I'm not eating fast food every day. Honestly, if I have a Freddy's chicken sandwich, a grilled chicken sandwich once a week, that's a good week for me. I feel like if I can keep 85% of what I put in my body as whole foods, then that's a success.
I like that. And
I cannot do 100% that, 100% clean. It just, I feel like I have to sort of keep the variety,
Yeah, I maybe, like, for coming off of a vacation, I'll set myself clean for the next Monday through Friday week. Like, if I get home from a Sunday and I've been traveling in the van, eating some truck stop food or whatnot, and it's just been like, all right, it's been 3 or 4 days of debauchery, then that's when I will switch back to kind of a more rigid lifestyle for just a short period of time. Because really what I've found is that it only takes a couple days. And if
Mhm.
I fast, I've actually gone to like, you mentioned the time restricted eating.
Yeah.
What I've experimented with is a one meal. And, I've really pushed that fast back on some days to a 3, to a 4. And then it's almost, I eat a lot then, but by the time 7 or 7:30 comes around, I can't justify eating again. And so
Yeah.
I've done that, to where I can then wake up the next morning, and all said and done, after about 36 hours, I've only ate once.
Hmm.
And, that
I've,
really
I've thought
helps.
about doing that, Randy. I've thought about that, but in my head, I'm like, well, can I really get the amount of protein I need in a 3 or 4 hour span? And I don't know. I haven't experimented with it yet, but I've really been thinking about it lately. What got me on to thinking that was I went to Christmas and my wife's mother was like, "Oh, hey, Sue," gave her a hug and, "Wow, you look great," and she's like lost weight and toning up. I think, man, she's almost 60. And come to find out, she's doing intermittent fasting. And she's like, "Yeah, you were talking about it, Matthew." And it just got me thinking. And I started researching. I said, "Oh, okay. I try to do like eat within an 8 hour window. What are you doing?" "Oh, I fast for 20 and I eat in 4." I'm like,
She
wow,
just went straight to the 24 ratio,
she
right
went
to the
to
top.
just straight into it. No, like easing into it. And,
Well, there
you know,
again, I would imagine, maybe I could be wrong, but 60-year-old female, you make a good point with the amount of energy. It's
mhm,
everybody's life. You need to find what works for you. In my years as a personal trainer and working with people, I've found that, quite frankly, everything works if you
yeah,
stick to it, and everything also doesn't work if you're just giving it that
mhm.
half-ass effort. But
Yeah,
I think,
I kick myself for looking back on conversations I had with people where I was, you know, everything is in concrete. No, you have to do it this way. Oh, you have to eat 6 meals a day, every 2.5 hours. You have to use only this supplement, and oh, if you're not training CrossFit, you're not doing it right, and it's like, what was I thinking trying to tell people that there's only one way? And
right.
now I've learned that really if you follow a few guidelines, for me, I think it's trying to be in a calorie deficit, trying to prioritize protein, trying to move well for 5 days a week, then I still have time and energy for my kids and to run my business, and to be a husband and go on dates with my wife and prioritize that. So yeah, I really regret some of the things I've told people in the past where I made it seem like there was only one way to be in shape.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just it's immaturity, it's
Mhm.
youth. We knew what did work, um,
Yeah,
because it obviously worked for us, and then you would automatically assume that that would be the only thing that worked.
yeah,
Uh, because, quite frankly, we also had a lot of evidence that what other people were doing as the nation became unhealthier and unhealthier,
mhm.
especially through the last decade, you would
Right.
again get reinforced that what is almost gospel, as everybody else flounders.
Hmm.
But I've said it for the last couple years now, especially, my approach to health and fitness, just like you pretty much summarized, it's entirely different. You have so many variants involved with what you're trying to do in your lifestyle, your
Yeah.
type of work, your goals, your specific aims, whether you have kids, whether you work labor, or whether you work sedentary lifestyles. And so to one size fits all fitness is crazy.
Right.
And many times the problem with the weight, that's excess weight on people's waists, or the lack of energy. I mean, these are not health and fitness problems. These are lifestyle problems for most people. And
Yeah.
what they see is the consequences of those lifestyle problems in the term in ways of body image, perhaps,
Yeah.
or lack of energy. Those are just the results, I feel, of an unbalanced life. And
Yeah. I feel like a lot of it is your nutrition. when you're eating and what you're eating, you know, and what you're drinking liquid calories. And I mean, they're tasty. It's sugar, you know, like there's a reason so many people
And it's
drink.
everywhere. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't
for
get
sure.
away from it.
Oh, you want a coffee? Hey, why don't you try man, for a while I was doing a grande nitro cold brew with 2 blonde shots at Starbucks. And I was just like, oh, I really like the way this tastes, you know. Now I'm doing my own thing at home. But dude, it was $8.75 and I was trying to get one a day, and it's like 430 milligrams of caffeine, and I'm just amped up on caffeine. And
Okay, well,
just,
you said 400 milligrams. I thought you were going to say $400. And I know the math isn't necessarily right, but it is, though. If you think about $7, $8 a day, if you do 5 of them a week, that's 40 a month, or 40. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're $200 a month.
yeah,
Couple
50,
hundred
you know,
dollars.
$40 a week times 52 weeks. You're talking $2,080 on the year. I
Right.
mean,
That's a vacation.
yeah, exactly. Because you wanted a coffee every day, you know, instead, I mean, I make my coffee at home now, and it's not sugary drinks, you know, and
It's not a triple blonde. Speaking
yeah.
speaking of masculinity, how masculine did you feel rolling through the Bucks, ordering a triple blonde latte caramel twisty?
About as masculine as I feel, you know, because I don't drink. So I've been at like Christmas parties or like window cleaning conventions, and there's an open bar. I will walk up and order a Shirley Temple at the top of my lungs, just Sprite and cherry. And what? Like, yes, please. And you know,
It takes people probably 15 seconds to think and get over the fact that you're literally not joking.
yeah,
You know, for
yeah,
one, as goofy as you are, but then it's just
yeah,
like, looking at you, you would definitely order some sort of IPA or manly
right,
sort of hoppy beer.
right. They see
And
weird and, you know, muscular guy. Oh, this dude definitely drinks. And it is crazy that that's the society we live in, where you can categorize someone whether or not they drink alcohol based on what they look like. And I guess
yeah.
that's the society we live in.
So, I'm sober as well. And it's been, it's well over 4 years now.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. And it's just been, at this point in time, it's almost like I've just grown another arm or something, because in the
Uh-huh.
beginning it was weird. But now, if you could imagine that sort of an analogy, like you just spontaneously grow another arm, you would get used to it,
Mm-hmm.
But I use that analogy for a reason, because as I walk around in society, sometimes it's as if I do have another arm growing out of me, that in those scenarios when it's time to drink,
Yeah.
people will look at you like, because you respond in a way that, well, no, I'm not drinking tonight, and that sometimes doesn't suffice. And
Right.
it's like, no, I don't drink at all. And it's like, then
Mm-hmm.
your left arm, or that new arm, whether it's your left or your middle or whatever it
Yeah.
may be, just appears. And that's so, it takes people aback, and it's sad that it has to be that way. It really is. I don't want to knock anybody who drinks. It's definitely a 100% personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the flip side, we should
Yeah.
recognize that same respect
Yeah.
to and
Yeah.
dignity, because it's almost as if, as soon as you do hear that from certain crowds, you're almost just, you do got outcast written on your forehead, in certain groups of people. I've experienced that, and it's sad that it does have to be that way.
Yeah.
But again, that's a choice that I made. I knew what I was getting into. And, it's been hands down one of the most powerful moves I've ever made in my life. So, I
You
don't regret
feel
it
like
one bit.
all around as a person, it has just kind of helped raise the quality of life you have, I mean, you think
Yeah.
it's done that for
Oh,
you?
no doubt. The think about, and again, I don't like to say the word they, but when you talk about society and the theys and the thems, that drink. And my own history with drinking, it certainly went very fast from enhancing moments, enhancing experiences, to taking over experiences. And you can find this and observe people who do believe, I believe, in my opinion, suffer from at least an early stage of alcoholism. They can't do much without drinking. Sure, they can go to work. They can go through the motions. I did plenty of that for plenty of years. But beyond the necessities to get you through the day, there's not much going on other than the need for the alcohol. And that gets to be justified with, well, it's a great way to have more fun, but it turns into, you don't golf anymore without alcohol. You don't play cards with your buddies any longer without alcohol. You don't go out on the boat without alcohol. And pretty soon, if you take a child's perspective, pretty soon what might be, or some outside perspective, an alien's perspective, you'd see very clearly that it's not the activities that are drawing you in, it's the alcohol.
Yeah, and I can only fathom, the different trajectory your kids' life is on now that you've kind of made that commitment, just, I don't know if
you want to hear something. I do, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. Just this morning, Rochelle and I are coming back from dropping the kids off at school. And she said that my daughter had brought up some story. She couldn't even remember the story, but my daughter said, oh, well, that was back when Daddy, and she didn't quite know how it was appropriate to finish the sentence. Rochelle knew where she was going with it. And she goes, that was back when Daddy wasn't as strong, was what she said. And, that, even just saying that now just kind of almost chokes me up. Yeah. Because, my daughter's only 11. And, and I've been sober for 4 years. So, her memory is definitely from sometime before 7. And for her to already put that connection together, that it was some sort of a strength factor. To me, that was, wow, that was huge. And, it does. It feels great, and it's obviously not that I needed that, but it's just so much more of a reason to continue down the path of strength. And that's what I've been trying to do in my life, because I don't want to live on this. I don't even care about not drinking anymore. That's like a JV kid, and I already beat him. Now I've got a kid who's actually a state contender or a national contender. And I've got some other thing that I've got to get stronger for, but it's still a matter of strength. That's awesome. At least that's how I see it,
And I know you want to help people, and I want to help people as well. And sometimes when I'm, kind of struggling or not motivated, I think about my kids and I think about impacting their life and what that means. And it does. I think as a father, it motivates me to get out there and sell, make healthy decisions with what you're going to eat. Hey, go get that workout, it does motivate me to be better.
So here's what I've been thinking. Like, I read this book within the last month, and it's The Way of Men by this guy named Jack Donovan. And in the beginning of the book, he summarized, I believe, the entire point of which you were kind of just circling around. What motivates you as a man, as a dad, to get up and knock on a few extra doors. What you're asking yourself is to push the limit, to push the perimeter is the word that this author used. The perimeter has always been the arena for real men. And the perimeter being the frontier, the
Yeah.
edge of civilization. And I think you and I understand that. We've had centuries of soldiers and frontiersmen and Daniel Boone type men, because the edge of the perimeter, and that could be, obviously it's not so much geographic anymore in a sense of exploring the perimeter in society. That's been done, but in our own domains, in our own kingdoms as men, I feel if you can tap into that, and it's funny because the author talks about 4 main virtues, and the first one is obviously strength. And 4 main virtues of great men, and that strength is a key component to the perimeter, whether you're defending the perimeter, the boundary that you've already set, or whether you are, and I think it's almost natural for a real man to expand the boundaries. So whether you're protecting what you've already built, or whether you're in the mode to expand more of your kingdom, that is, to me, raw masculinity. And that word perimeter just keeps banging around in my head.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that's what hearing you talk about pushing the limits made me think about that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. When I look at my kids, I want them to grow up. I want them to have their own relationship with God, right? We talk about God, we talk about the Bible, we pray together. I want them to fall in love with God and seek that out with their whole heart. As far as a business owner goes, I want to dominate St. Charles County. I want to dominate West County, Ladue, Chesterfield, and I kind of want to expand that, but I want to build a really good foundation first here and then expand. We like to take vacations out west a lot, national parks and Colorado, Montana, Wyoming. And it's, I don't know if this connects or this correlates, but I love just the adventure of exploring new things, camping in a tent, and I've got my cast iron, I've got steaks and sweet, and, like first world things. I didn't really kill an elk while I was out there and harvest it for my family, anything like that. But I love getting out there and exploring, and I'm trying to get my kids to enjoy that as well. So, we about perimeters and that expanding. I don't know. I feel like I've been putting a lot more emphasis on experiences and things that you can't really see, things in your heart, things in your mind, and just growing in that sense. And I'm trying to teach that to my kids with a love for God and a love for nature and a love for people, really. Some people see, oh, you run a window cleaning business, you're doing a flip with your brother. I see it as like, something that's creating more opportunities for my family, for my friends, to help people, to give to my church, to invest in the youth. That's kind of what I see it as.
When you say exploration, I agree totally with you. It just becomes natural. Like you said, I think to want to see new things, have new experiences, expand your own horizons. The other factor, though, with the perimeter that we would have to think about is the protection aspect of it. And I think that's what you're talking about. See, I break it into 2 words, exploration and protection. That's the only 2 things you could do with a boundary. You could expand it, or you could protect it, or you can, I guess, get rid of it or retreat. But I don't even like to think about, those sort of options. No. And so it's the protection when you talk about, protecting your girls with, first and foremost, a faith, that will be able to guide them. I think that's the most authentic and truthful form of protection that you could ever ascertain. And you hit on something else. I guess it was, just the way you want to, in a way, establish the protection and fortitude of your community. You said something about, giving back to the youth and helping with your church. And, I see that also as, again, a form of protection and comfort to others, which that's what is so unique about. I've been exploring, and I can't get many people to have a conversation about what they in their hearts feel masculinity is about. And I think it's because we have this twisted rationale that it's only hunting and killing for most people, that it's just some sort of toxic aggression. Or, I think people also get it twisted with the complete other side of it, with saying being a man can mean anything. And it's like, well, I don't think it can mean anything. I don't think it can just be everything. I think it has to be something, because otherwise it's everything. And if everything is everything, we've got a really big problem with trying to make it through life.
That's a very broad statement, and you bring up some good points. Let me see if I can unpack some of those, like helping people, I think for if you've been through trauma or pain, sexual abuse, physical abuse, you've struggled with suicidal thoughts, maybe you've lost someone to suicide, you struggle with depression, a loved one struggles with depression, I think you have a different empathy for people. You view the world differently. You might have never, I lost my dad in 2004. He committed suicide. And I think it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever been through, and just going through that grief. But I could sit back and just dwell on it and just kind of hold it to myself, or I could try to help other people who are struggling with grief. I've been running this class through my church for, I guess, almost 10 years now. We meet twice a year. It's 10 weeks long. That's, 26 weeks is half of the year,
And so when you say you meet 10 weeks, is that a weekly?
So we'll start. Meetup? It's we have like a video we'll watch with it in a booklet that follows it. So you have like these little daily devotionals you'll do throughout the week that touch on how you're dealing with your grief. Hey, it's like a journal exercise, Then we get together the next week, we talk about that. We watch the next chapter's clip. We take notes and we talk about that video. Everybody goes, and the process repeats itself for 10 weeks. And so the video it basically just guides your conversation. And, you're basically getting together with other people who have lost loved ones, who maybe they've had a miscarriage, maybe they've lost a parent, maybe they've lost a close friend and they don't know how to deal with it. And really just getting together and talking about how you feel. It might not seem like much, but it's a really powerful thing, and then we tie in some scripture, and just really what I'm doing is I'm sharing my story with them over and over, and how I've dealt with things. And, we do a little thing where it's just like a weekly show and tell. Hey, if you want to bring something about your loved one and bring it to the class and share it with everyone, I encourage that, and I always play this video that somebody put together for my dad's like funeral. It's footage of him with us. It's footage that he had taken, and it's an emotional thing to watch, but I do that so they can see, hey, here's who my dad was, and I lost him, and here's what I'm trying to do with that hurt. I'm trying to help you guys. And I do think when you talk about being a man, there's a lot to be said for the man who will try to use his hurts to help other people. Hey, I've been through a similar thing. Let me give you some advice. Let me try to help you. I don't think it's all about, Randy, we like working out. We like eating good foods and, traveling around. But what does it matter if you're not bringing people alongside with you to help them as well? Like I'm really jealous. I love seeing your van and the trips you guys go on. That's like a goal for me. I've been looking at campers and stuff, and if I just bought a camper and just drove out there by myself, cool. I'm getting those experiences, but I'm not taking anybody with me. you know um
And that
it's
includes
more
the
meaningful.
negative
Yeah,
parts, like you said with your grief program. That, I mean, I think that is the key point, is that we have to include people. Of
yeah,
course we want to include them in our van trips, and our fun vacations and stuff,
yeah,
but that's easy. But the analogy is still the same. The experience would be entirely different if I just got in my van, which, by the way, I do periodically for a night. I do this for an exercise, but it's a hard exercise being by myself in the van, just gathering my thoughts, which I think is important on a whole nother domain. But it's the point being is that it's an entirely different experience with people that I love and that I care about and that care about me.
right.
And I think if that holds true for a positive experience, it must hold true for a negative experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that having those people that you can connect with, the other, not to
Yeah, you're fine.
go off on another stray thought, but the idea that I've been wrestling with a lot lately, and it hits right home, I think, with your program, is it's really difficult for us to truly know our own story.
Mm-hmm.
And when people would, maybe most people hear that and they think, well, I know who I am. What do you mean? I get it. I know Randy Vanderveen. I live in St. Charles, Missouri. And it's like, so enough, fair enough. But could you write a biography of 20 pages about yourself, about your past, about where you were born and your parents and your history through high school and so on, and your most memorable experiences and all of that? And how easy would it be to write that truthfully, authentically, and for somebody else to read and come away feeling stronger? And I think that actually is a really, really difficult task.
Yeah,
And most people then, with the way that I explain it, would probably also agree at that point. But initially, we hear the idea of knowing our own story and we think, no, I already know my story. But until you get asked maybe a question or two, until you
uh-huh.
do something like this and have some discourse, if you're as against lying as I am, you'll find that that's actually really difficult to do,
Yeah,
without lying or without sugarcoating. And there may be even a degree to untruth in what I express here today with you. I try my best to not do that. But again, I think we're human, and we can get our own stories pretty jaded if we keep them just between our own ears.
yeah,
And by getting vocalizing, like your program does, getting people to vocalize, getting people to write, getting people to articulate, in this circumstance, their grief, which is probably an entire chapter that they would choose to miss when they would write their own story. And they have chosen to miss for many years. They just bypass that chapter. But being able to face that, that's power. That is, and that is God in the works. I mean, hands down. So I mean, kudos to you, dude. That's a cool program.
well,
I
yeah,
didn't know that you were doing that, by the way, until the
yeah.
last time we talked.
um and it's I talk to people in this class and I say, I don't I don't enjoy running this class. It's not something that brings me joy or pleasure. I said, but looking back over the past 10 years, it is something that has helped me with my grief, my own grief. Imagine, I lost my dad, and then I decide, okay, I'm going to take this class, and then I want to run it. I want to facilitate it for other people. So the first time I do it, I'm telling my story. The next time I do it, I'm telling my story again, and I've had to go through and empathize with people and relate to them using my story. I mean, over and over and over. And it has
Hey,
helped.
can we call that emotional fitness?
We can. Yeah.
And like you said, it's not like you enjoy doing a Matt Green workout,
No.
and it's not like you need to be doing that in your place in life every single day, because then that could be unhealthy, but possibly periodically,
Yeah.
it's important to stress that emotional fitness, and not to do it, sadistically, but like
Right.
you said, to do it
There's
for a greater purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am grateful that I've had the opportunity, to use that hurt to try and help other people. I meet people who, they talk about their loved one and them passing away, and like it was yesterday, but you find out it was 10 or 12 years ago, and they've never talked about it. They don't have anybody they can go to. They don't have the network, even a few people they talk to about it. And it sounds alarming, but I think that's how a lot of people go through life, just avoiding those things that have hurt them, avoiding the things that are hard to talk about. Probably for a number of reasons, but mainly probably because they don't have the right people in their life. They haven't surrounded themselves with that system. I know last week we talked about, the importance of having men in your life and my mentors and the men I go to, but I can't even imagine where my life would be without, 4 or 5 men in my life that I've always been able to bounce ideas off of and go to for advice. Not even talking about business, just how I'm living my life. What should I change? What kind of decision should I make with this situation? Hey, what would you do if you were in this situation? How would you handle it? Just being able to go to any number of guys. I called this guy, he didn't answer. Hey, I'll shoot this guy a text, see what he thinks, see if we can't grab coffee sometime soon, and it's sort of like what we're doing now, but I know they're going to hold me accountable.
It's regenerative, a good conversation and good dialogue and feedback. And I heard this the other day, and it was pretty profound in my mind, and regenerative, like literally, because if you think about it, you go into a conversation, if you go into it honest, you're gonna shed some of the stuff that you don't need any longer. And in fact, that's what you're really hoping for, is that somebody can provide you something new, and then you can't carry everything. So that new information that they give you, that new feedback, allows you to discard the stuff that you don't need. And by, that's like a regenerative process. You're literally recycling your, like, cells. It's dead cells. It's dead emotion. It's dead thoughts. It's dead things that are no longer powerful or no longer in line with your best interest. And so but without those conversations, without those buddies that you can outsource your sanity to, and say, give me some feedback on this. Am I just a freak? Or, do you see at least half of it my way? Maybe a fraction of it, maybe I do have to discard 95% and bring in that much more, but at least that at that point.
And if you're going to ask somebody, like Randy, if I were to ask you, hey, what do you think? Should I change my diet, or am I allowed to have Lion's Choice 3 times a week? What do you think, man? I'm only 14% body fat. I want to be 10. Is it because I'm eating Lion's? I better be ready for you to tell me the truth. I
certainly
would wholeheartedly believe you would just say, yeah, dude, you can't eat fries 3 times a week and think you're going to get shredded. Like, I would expect that. And if you're going to put yourself in a situation where, I think I'm going to ask that guy what he really, you have to be ready for the truth. And hopefully you've got people in your life that, it's hard to tell someone the truth when it's going to hurt them. Initially it's going to sting. It's hard to do that, but if you care about that person, you'll tell them the truth.
If it's true, and if it's perceived, and I know that's a difficult word, but I do believe we all have a great idea of at least what is not true.
Right.
And so when we can see that something is at least as far from untrue as possible, and we provide that to somebody else, that is what I would call information, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just information, and that word is so unique too, because it's in formation. It's in line with what you need to be doing. Otherwise, it's not information. It would be gossip. It could be small talk about the weather. It could be a lot of nonsense that is not in line with your interest. It's not information, and it's not true information at the very least, because sometimes I know people still use that word information very loosely. Yeah, but it's truth is a response from your friend, and again, it may not always be correct in a sense of right or wrong, but it's gonna be truth. And that's, I think, the problem in such a materialistic, sciencey age that we live in. We actually think that we know what's true, and we really don't. It's just it's a lot of confusion, and so that honest approach of a true conversation, of true friends, and the dialogue and the circle of trust that they can create, that's true in the greatest sense. And so what transpires from that, and again, I think if it's aimed at God, if it's aimed at the greatest good, that circle, it would even define it as the greatest truth. And what comes out of that word amongst men is tainted with God's love. It's got to be, it's our best bet. Yeah, put it that way. Yeah, I would definitely agree. All right, I got just a couple more minutes before I got to let you go. I really enjoyed how these convos flow. We get places, just like I was saying. But I wanna go back in time and go back to the Lindenwood wrestling days. I don't want to talk about Devin Fager again, but I want to talk about what was your biggest. Okay, 2-time national champ. Yep. 3-time finalist. Yep. Yes, you hands down one of the you could be counted on one hand of the best wrestlers to come out of Lindenwood, which is saying a lot. So what's the biggest muck up that you had while at Lindenwood wrestling? Biggest doesn't have to be a lost match. I'm not saying it's got to be something like that, but what's the biggest mistake? Have you ever thought about it? Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of things I regret. I wouldn't say like, a slew of regrets, but there are things I regret during my 4 years of wrestling there. One thing I regret, I'm in a match and I lost in the semis at this tournament, the Mizzou Open, and it was a close match. I didn't get the stall calls I wanted. I lost the match. It's my fault, but I'm pissed. And so I'm wrestling for third, this kid from Illinois, and I think I was up by like 5 or 6. And Coach Parisi was like, he was giving me this motion, like, ankle pick. And I went like, I did that motion and I like basically mocked him and acted like, yeah, I see it. Yeah, I know. Quit telling me about it. And I guess it comes with maturity, really, really seeing everything your coach does for you behind the scenes, and, going on to coach and having kids of my own and dealing with the youth. I just look back on that one instance, and there's others where I just feel like, yeah, I didn't have to be disrespectful. I didn't have to treat my coach like that. Like, hey, I know better. Like who are you to tell me what to do, kind of thing. That's never the message I wanted to send to him. And, we talked about that. You said you were up by 5 points or 6
I
points,
was
something like that?
I was up by like 5 or 6 points, and
What do you think led to the? Because I think it was knowing you were just frustrated, probably.
frustrated. Yes, I was frustrated. I wanted to tech. It was a kid I beat before. I think I teched him, and I'm like, okay, I better tech this kid. You know, I better go out with a bang. And he changed up some things. You know, he wasn't diving in on my legs like he did the first time. He was wrestling smarter. You know, I was single-handedly winning this match with ease, but it wasn't enough for me. Maybe maybe it was ego. Maybe I thought, oh, I should be destroying this kid. He's not in my league. You know, he's not even in the same conversation as me. And maybe it was just pride and my ego and frustration. And I took it
But
out
Coach
on.
Parisi knew. I can imagine he knew that you were not wrestling to your potential, and the way he
Yes.
expressed his message probably showed that 100% clear.
Yes.
He was good at that.
He's, hey, come on, ankle pick, come on.
Right.
You know, that's his right to do that. He knows my potential. You know, I have to let him hold me accountable. I have to let him call me out on stuff, even if it's in the heat of battle. You know,
why is that such an ugly message? I do this to be a shit stirrer, to be quite honest, but I do have this message that I love to tell people, and it's, you're not okay the way that you are. You're better than this.
Yeah.
And people hear that message and it stings. And essentially that's what P was yelling at you, was like, come on, you're better than this. You have more potential. And if we're not in the right frame of mind, that's a tough message.
And I wasn't in the right frame of mind, and I hurt him, you know, by disrespecting him in front of the other coaches, in front of his friends. You know, other coaches from other universities are standing there watching, and everybody saw it happen. You know, so I had to go back to Coach P and apologize to him. And you know, we were fine before nationals and a few weeks later, but I do still regret that. I do still regret the way I treated him. I regret, you know, not being as good of a teammate as I could have been to some people, you know, thinking, you know, I'm a better wrestler than them. And that's all I focused on, you know, when I could have been there for them personally, you know, trying to help them through things. And, you know, another thing I regret is not believing in myself until really my late sophomore or junior year. You know, I had coaches and teammates telling me that how good I was and they saw my potential, but I didn't truly believe in myself and in the potential I had until, you know, I don't want to say before it was too late, but I could have been, maybe I could have been a 4-time national champ. I could have been a 3-time national champ. Had I believed in myself sooner. And I think I carry that message with me in business, you know. I have to believe.
Do you think about wrestling pretty much every day?
Yeah, without a doubt.
I do the same thing.
And Randy, it's not even the matches. It's
the mindset.
It's the mindset. It's the drilling, the same move over and over, the line drills. Hey, elbow pass, high crotch, this finish. Oh, now I'm going to hit a different finish. Now I'm going to have a different setup. Same finish, you know, I mean, and I try to take those lessons I learned with wrestling and the confidence. You have to believe in yourself before it happens. You have to have that faith to know. And really the thing that's going to push you to have that faith is the hard work. And that's with wrestling. Hey, we know how hard we've trained. Nobody trains harder than us. You're going to go out there and beat this kid. Oh, he's ranked higher than you. Who cares? He doesn't train like you do. Oh, you've only been in business for a year and a half. There's like a good handful of other window cleaning businesses in the same area. I don't care. I'm going to go out and hustle. I'm going to go out and sell. I'm going to do everything I can.
There's almost a huge level of truth to that. You don't find confidence, you earn confidence.
Really, yeah.
And you hit it. You earn it through the hard work, and through the hard work, you master moves. And each move that you master, you build a little bit more confidence, and then that allows you to master even a move or a procedure or a habit that is going to, and you start stacking each move on top of each habit, and it is so wrestling like. I think what is gonna, obviously you're killing it in business, which is awesome. What's going to keep you going is that same philosophy of, you said it, line drilling. Like 99% of what we did as wrestlers, 99% of what led to your success was practice time, drilling.
Yes.
But it
having
came down. Right. But what's interesting though is, out of all that hard work, you could have laid eggs every time you had big matches. And that is what's cool, because it still does come down to you, boom, sealing the deal on a big commercial contract. You having all the pieces in order, in line, all the information to wham, hit that the way you need to hit it. And when you can be that, it is cool, man. Just, I can go on in a tangent, but thinking of the lessons of wrestling, I'm trying to get my son going, and it's a slow process, man. It is, and I'm having a lot of patience with him. I don't know if it's that I'm trying not to even think about it if it's his deal. That is he a bad wrestler? 13. So I don't want to judge him as being, oh, you should be better than this by now, or you're doing good actually compared to your age. None of that. I'm trying to take this from a blank slate on how he's handling the process of getting better, not necessarily getting better at wrestling, the process of getting better, because I see the fundamentals. I mean, I'm learning how to play the piano. So I got this little piano behind, and it's excruciating because I'm not music. I'm fight, I'm aggression, I'm not music. But I thought, I'm huge into pushing myself into things that I'm not used to. Exposure, let's explore. So anyways, I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm having a lot more compassion with Braxton, because I'm remembering very clearly what it's like to be a beginner, to suck. Not necessarily because you're a beginner, but you just suck. And that's okay, because you are a beginner. And that's kind of been my message, that it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, but you build that confidence with time in the saddle.
Yeah. I didn't start wrestling. I didn't start wrestling till my freshman year in high school. And I think even at that point, what led me to have success, I was 7-14 as a freshman on varsity. I was not, I wasn't good. My sophomore year, I was 33-10. Then I was 43-4. I got better. But what helped, even my freshman year, was the competitive edge. I hated losing. We had played sort of like Braxton. He plays all these sports, does a little bit of everything, but you got to teach him. Just teaching him to be competitive will take him further, and making sure he understands, like, hey, hard work does pay off. Let's say he doesn't wrestle. Let's say he does something else, I think you can still teach him that wrestling mindset, and he can be successful, even if he's not wrestling.
I agree 100%, and I make sure to explain to him all of that, because, he's actually, like you said, he's very talented. He's got a lot of talents, and I don't want him to feel as though he has to wrestle. It's a very biased opinion coming from me. You can pick up all of the skills that we talked about playing tennis. If you take something to a high enough level, and if you push yourself, you're going to discover all of the things, all of the embarrassments, even all of the humiliations, the times that we wished we wouldn't have done certain things, like you had talked about. You'll go through that in your growth process, and it's who you become as a human being. Obviously, that's more important than if you win a state title in Missouri, at a certain age group or whatnot. So I hear you loud and clear, and it's the learning is painful any way you look at it, because basically that's that discarding process that I said earlier. Like you're learning that what you thought you knew wasn't enough.
Right.
You're learning that what you are is not enough, and that's a tough message, and that's essentially what happens when the other kid's hand goes up and yours is left down. I mean, there's no louder message that says you're not good enough. And again, I think in reason, that's a strong, powerful, positive message. Because if you look at it from the flip side, but you could be, is how you follow that up. You know, you're not where you are yet, or not where you could be yet. You know, you always want to follow that up.
Exactly.
And so that's interesting, man, about you thinking still on your consolation semifinal, or which match that was.
Yeah, and you know, it's not the loss. Yeah, sure, I regret the losses. You know, I regret cutting weight improperly and it affecting me, and you know, but those are things I needed to learn, you know, lessons I needed to learn at the time. The things I regret the most that I wish I could go back and change are how I took critique in the moment, how I responded to my coaches who, you know, who I look back on and I'm like, man, you know, I don't see Coach P, I don't see Chad Smith, I don't see Wayne James, Eric Brown as much as I was back then. I wish I had been a better athlete. You know, I wish I had maybe even let them know how much I appreciated them in the moment. And they weren't all perfect, you know, but we were all in it together. They're trying to push me to be the best I can. And I just wonder if sometimes I took that for granted, you know. Now I have to find people to push me. I have to find people to hold me accountable. Yeah, that's just something that I think follows me around, and a thought I have, you know, is how could I have been a better athlete for them? You know, I definitely could have done better in the classroom. I didn't take that as serious as I could. Definitely did not put a priority on that. But yeah.
Do you blame yourself for that? I have a really bitter, maybe it's my own resentment. I don't know. I feel that it wasn't made clear enough to me how important certain aspects were, such as going to class, such as getting a grade. And I'm not blaming, it's not Coach P's fault, or it's not, you know, but why wasn't there an individual that could touch us in the way that some of our wrestling coaches touched us academically with a book?
Yeah, man. I'm getting more and more into reading, you know, as I get older, I feel.
Me too.
I wish I would have fallen in love with reading in high school, maybe in middle school. It wouldn't have made me
frustrated at myself
any less cool. It wouldn't have made me a worse athlete. You know, it wouldn't have made me, I mean, it only would have helped.
See, I started reading a lot more once I quit drinking. My entire life changed, and I had a lot of free time. I had a lot of time that I was contributing to bad habits before. So, you know, I picked up a lot of reading, and I read a lot these days. And I started reading more fiction too. And before somebody would have told me to read fiction, why? What's the point? And I heard a statement that said, if a fictional story can make you feel a certain way in real life, it's not a fictional story. It's a real story. You know, and that is unless you believe your own emotions and feelings aren't real, or your own interpretations and perceptions. So that's what actually really got me interested in understanding how hard it is to write your own story. And when you can read maybe a fictional account, or even when you're reading factual books, you know, I dig into the people and their stories. I love reading about Teddy Roosevelt and great men of the past, Abe Lincoln and stuff like that. And I've become quite the nerd. And it does. I mean, but I wish I lost so much time. And I think about that, but I can't.
And you
mentioned myself
Teddy
back into that.
You mentioned Teddy Roosevelt. He lost his wife and daughter.
Yeah.
Correct. And then started implementing national parks. You know.
Yeah.
it's almost like he had to experience that loss and that pain before he could really start focusing, okay, this is going to help the future generations. This is going to be something that can help people. I'm going to like preserve all of this.
Yeah. And see, he, to me, again, just kind of, if I was to pick a man in all of time, he'd be up there. Yeah. Because of all of that, like also in the way that he went about, of course he wasn't perfect, but I think it's in the way that he tried. And I think we talked about it last week, or maybe I brought it up to somebody else, but I see Abraham in the Bible as the same way as Teddy Roosevelt. These guys weren't perfect, but they went forth. They went forth. And through that adventure, through their mistakes and through their tribulations, it formed them into men of renown.
Yeah. God still,
and he's just a modern version.
Yeah. And in the Bible, these men aren't perfect.
No,
David,
no.
Paul,
Jacob.
Abraham, these men were not perfect, but they had the right mentality and God used them, and in my life, I haven't been perfect. I've got things that I still struggle with. I've got my own demons, but I want to do right. I want to help people. And I think God uses those people,
See, think of Jacob too. I mean, he wrestled God, except he had to walk with a limp for the rest of his life. And that's kind of saying, like, we're not going to get through this unscathed. But if we choose to wrestle with God, we're going to be pointed to the right direction. And yeah, it's going to be rough, but we're going to get through this.
I bet if you asked Jacob, he would tell you it was worth it to put that one on that angel for however long they were wrestling for.
Right. Broken femur or not.
I bet he's one tough dude still.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's good, dude. Well, that's a pretty good stopping point. We were able to merge the masculinity, the faith, and the wrestling all into one final calamity with Jacob wrestling.
And I'd love to do it again, and maybe we can get the families together, something for a bonfire when it starts warming up. And
I second that motion.
Yeah, man, I'd love that. We'll barbecue or make some chili or something and just get together and hang. I'd love that.
Yeah, I'd love to do that too. And at the very least, we've got to, I think, keep these conversations going. I mean, they don't necessarily have to be a weekly thing. I know we each have our lives and we're moving and grooving, but I think if we could catch up with each other, a few times every other month or so, that'd work out pretty good. I think we could discover some things about ourselves.
Yeah, it's been cool to watch you from afar, Randy. And, like, I feel this proudness with talking to you and watching, like, you quit drinking. Okay, cool. But you're filling that time with other things, to better yourself, to better the people around you. And I think I just think that's awesome. So keep it up. And definitely thank you again for having me on today.
Yeah, and thank you, dude. There's definitely that mutual respect. I reached out to you for a reason. I admire you. I respect you from the earliest days of wrestling, and then again watching you grow, watching you get older, create a family. It's cool, and
thank you,
I know
Randy.
you're headed in the right direction, and so you're a beacon for sure. And
thank you.
I want you to know that I truly believe that. So I appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, likewise. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, homie. Have a great day.
See you, man.
Keep trucking.